Nariko had led the Imperial forces into their first war with the samurai, and so far had found some success. She had defeated the armies of the Oda clan several times in the field, but lacked the forces needed to overcome the defences of their capital. At the same time, the Oda did not have sufficient troops to push back against Nariko's army, or retake their base at Nagashima Fortress. It seemed the war was about to reach a stalemate and turn into a diplomatic matter, but the Asakura clan's sudden joining of the conflict shattered the promise of a quick peace. With her forces weakened and her territories in danger of being overrun by fresh attackers, Nariko heads to Kyushu to personally treat with Great Lord Oda. You will swear your loyalty to the Imperial throne and renounce your right to make war without my permission. In return, my forces will ally themselves with yours and aid you in your fight against the Asakura. You're willing to give me the Asakura clan territory? Yes, if you will agree. Will you be committing your troops to help me take this territory? Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. My adjutant will read you the terms again, if you wish. No, I've heard enough. Your terms are very memorable, treasured Empress. Now allow me to begin my official response by saying that presenting such terms to me is cause for war in itself, and had you sent a messenger to deliver those terms, they would be taken to be executed at around this point in the conversation. I see. I don't think you do. I'll continue, if your dog will stop staring at me. You are quite brazen, Lord Oda. You veil your threat to the Empress too thin. Fetch your sword. I will wait for you here. Yoshio, wait, sit down. What are you doing? Some of us wondered whether your lineage would give you skills that your upbringing did not, but apparently to be raised as a peasant will make anyone into a peasant to their core. Lord Oda, why don't we hurry this along? What is it that you want? Oh, hang on, now we're going somewhere. Yes, well there is one arrangement in which I might consider swearing to you and allowing you to use my armies to protect your little domain. You need only give me control of that domain. You think me a fool? Just probing? No, of course not. You know what is good for you, so here is my real offer. Just the capital. You will make me shogun and relinquish your personal fiefs to me. And then there shall be peace, and I shall fight the Asakura in your name. Lord Oda, I wanted to spare you when the war ends. I wanted all the lords to become the children of the Imperial household. I think I've made my opinion of what you want quite clear, and you have done the same in return. So I will bid you farewell and wish you good fortunes in your war. And to you, feisty samurai, perhaps I shall have a champion for you to meet on the battlefield. Just don't let me get too close to you, my lord. You should put him in charge, your majesty. I think he rather has the spirit of the times within him. Blessings of the gods be upon you, Lord Oda of Owari. Let us hope that they do not consider you a fool this day. Hello and welcome back to Nariko's Treasure. So the peace deal has failed. We leave Kyushu with nothing, and now we'll have to face the Asakura and the Oda at the same time. So the Asakura could potentially head north towards Kanazawa or south into the region around the capital from their base at Imahama. They also have Tsu and some castles down here that will allow them to push west into our territory or push north towards Nagashima Fortress, which we just recently took. So the first thing I wanted to do is rush back to check Kannoji Castle, the nearest castle to the capital. On the way, the Yamako clan offers a trade deal, which we'll certainly accept. We want to take all the good relations we can get. So we arrive near Kannoji and we can see Asakura clan forces heading west towards the capital from there. And I was just noting that the castle's garrison wasn't all that large. probably small enough that Nariko and one other officer could go and take it quite easily, and that would certainly be something we want to do to get them off our doorstep here just outside the capital. So first we need to chase after the Asakura clan forces that were sneaking around near Kyoto. They're actually trying to escape from me as I arrive. It's Lord Rakaku, and I wanted to ask him whether he wanted to defect, basically, and you do that by asking what they think about their lord. And if they seem positive about their lord, then you simply can't get them to defect, so we'll move on. Now, I wanted to wait before fighting him because I'm still restoring troops from previous fights, so as more of my wounded come back into the fight, we'll gain an advantage over time. But Lord Azai was bringing reinforcements from the east, so I realised we should get this battle going now before they actually link up. So we'll have to attack with a slight numerical disadvantage here. The terrain is a little bit obfuscated. You can't really see anything because there are trees all over the place, and the Asakura strategy here was a skirmishing one, so they were advancing very slowly and mostly just shooting at us. It kind of suits us because we can just sit here and do the same thing, and I think we'll win eventually. Although one arrow does just miss Nariko there and sounded like it actually hit Yoshio, but he'll just shrug it off back there as we wait for the enemy to get closer. Soon we actually get to the point when we can see them, and some of the enemies start to charge forwards, but we've done a lot of damage to them thanks to the power of our skirmishing line. The enemy's numbers have dropped. I'm ordering cavalry to charge from a flanking position, and the enemy's cavalry are charging me as well. But the cavalry are basically charging without infantry, both because they've taken losses in their infantry and because a lot of their infantry started running away really early on. They never really reached our lines, leaving the skirmishers to continue the fight, and the cavalry, many of them now dismounted, to try and fight with our whole army, which isn't going to work. We saw a couple of enemies there just retreating right next to our line, so some of them are trying to retreat in very odd directions, but overall the battle just didn't really come to anything. As soon as it got started, it was over. I ordered everyone to charge forwards, and you can see in the distance enemies trying to escape, so we didn't really get into any proper fighting with them, which is great for us, and we only took 3 wounded as a result of the overall lack of combat. But the enemy's loss is massive, both due to losses taken from the skirmish and losses taken while attempting to escape from the aftermath of the skirmish. So that's pretty much the perfect result to take down that army there. That's going to completely squander their plans to attack us, and you can see Lord Azai immediately turns around and stops heading into our territory, so clearly that's had an effect on them. Now I thought we might as well have a go at Kennoji. I wanted to besiege it and just try and take it with Nariko's forces alone. We probably can, and it will mean we don't waste any time trying to get reinforcements. But we get a message saying that the Oda are now attacking over at Nagashima, and this is going to be the main problem. Try to fight on multiple fronts. We can't focus on everything, so we're going to try and focus on the defensive actions first so we don't lose anything, and then try and get some lulls in the action where we can go out and do offensives against the enemy. On the way to Nagashima though, I spot another Asakura invasion coming in through this mountain pass, so that was actually pretty good timing to just about catch them as they were sneaking through. The enemy Lord Kitabatake actually tries to run away as we advance, but we are going to go into combat with him. I did have a little bit of a problem in this battle. I wanted to come up to where Nariko is with the whole army, but there are bits on the map that the AI can't go to around the edge of the map, although you can. So my men just kind of got stuck on an invisible wall, and it really messed up the formation. And the main problem was that the cavalry ended up kind of in front of our army here and are going to be our front line. So I tried to get them out of the way, but it was too late because the enemy cavalry just rode into them, and I went over to have a look and found a fight going on that I couldn't really see from where I was before. So they're just dueling away, and a lot of the enemy's infantry will now plow into the cavalry as well because they're so out of position. You can see they're coming in from the left, finding my cav and not realizing my main army's up here on this hill waiting for them. So that is really annoying. Our skirmishing troops will be able to have an easy time. That's the only upside, since the enemy aren't really attacking us at all. We can just pick off enemies down the hill. But it does mean our cavalry have undue pressure put on them. Eventually I ordered the whole army to charge forwards towards where the cavalry were because I wanted to help them out. The loss of cavalry is quite inconvenient because they're hard to recruit. These are high quality troops. Luckily the cavalry actually did okay on their own. The enemy's scattered formation proved to be relatively easy for them to fight with. So although they took a lot of casualties, they didn't lose and actually did manage to overcome most of the enemy's infantry component just on their own. So we ended up with only 5 killed and the enemy going to be losing over 100, and noting where the killed are, it does seem the cavalry taking the brunt of it. So that was a good result at least. My lady, I wish for you to reconsider your strategy.
You should use your majesty to refer to the Empress, General. No, it's okay, Nagiko. Please go and oversee the distribution of spoils for me. Majesty?
So, Koj, reconsider my strategy. Where are you going with this today? I'm going to try and help you, Nariko. I wish to advise against going to Nagashima. Impossible. The Oda are destroying the villages to make an example of those who support me. We have a duty to stop them. My lady, you know what you want, but not how it can be achieved. What is the cost of saving Nagashima? We leave our borders open to attack. Only by chance did we even detect the previous 2 incursions. But we did detect them, and everything has continued in our favor. I'm saying Nagashima will be the end of it. We have to let them go to protect the more important fiefs. They are all important, and our troops are outnumbered there. They need us. They need us, but you don't need them. You don't see it, do you? I rise above it. Then don't. Those troops, those farmers, whoever it is out there, they are not in the same category as you. As a rule of war, we must divide up our resources into those that we can afford to lose and those we cannot. I believe you have come to see this truth as far as your own retinue of troops is concerned, but it applies to all people in the realm and to the very earth itself. Nagashima can be lost. Kyoto, Nara, Sakai. These fiefs are everything. This is war, full-on war. This is not adventuring. We cannot save everyone. We cannot make the price of success fall entirely on others. Sacrifices are the currency of power. Sometimes you must give things up to survive.
Kijiro, is it true what they say about you and the Ito clan?
Unlikely.
I heard you were disowned from the clan for refusing to fight the Shimazu. That is the real reason you became a Ronin.
Jungyun told you that, did he? How much value do you put on anything he said?
You gave up your honor to survive, as you say. You are asking me to join you in that pursuit.
It worked. My older brother died for his honor in that war. Honor and nothing else. I made the harder decision, and I have achieved deeds far beyond merely falling on one's sword.
But did you do it for the land, or for yourself?
Myself. But that is why I am not you. I am asking you to do the right thing, because I know you will do it for the right reason. And the right thing can be to shun the few for the sake of the many, or for the sake of yourself. Whichever way you see it. Just see it, please.
Don't worry, I see it. I saw it a long time ago.
Then you must act on it. Save the many. You need only see past your emotions. It is hard. That is why most cannot lead. But you must put your heart aside, because your humanity will lead to even greater pain.
You know, I really hated the idea of being called a samurai. Then after all this, I accepted it. I am a warlord as much as they. But that doesn't mean I can't be a better samurai. And I can't know how to do that on my own. So thanks, Kojken. Maybe I am being thoughtless. Let's summon the War Council.
Nariko is going to take Kojiro's advice and not push any further to the east. We'll go back behind these mountains and focus on defending the territory that's easy to defend and is close to our center at Kyoto. So I'm going to head west to find some allied forces I can gather up, because I want to go back to Kannoji Castle again. It is a key target for us to take out against the Asakura. It will allow us to defend the entrance to the core of our lands, and in theory we could go on an offensive against their capital at Imahama up there from this position. So we start the siege. We see some of our allied forces chasing the Asakura around nearby, so it's good to see the lords are being proactive in this war. And then the Date clan declares war on us. I'm not sure what their casus belli was here, but it seems they're just jumping on some kind of bandwagon. They're so far away that doesn't necessarily matter, but we'll definitely have to keep it in mind, and they may indeed crusade all the way down here to take part in the war. So anyway, it was time for the assault on Kannoji Castle, and it actually proved to be quite an easy one. I expected to have to shoot through the windows to kill defenders inside the first courtyard, but it was pretty much clear and our forces just stormed in. So we started rushing up towards the second set of gates. There wasn't much for Nariko to do while we waited for the gates to be taken down, so she is just going to indulge in some classic siege battle sharp shooting, trying to hit heads poking over the parapets on top of the defensive towers. Those gates do get opened up by our forces, so once again it's time to advance. Any defenders behind the gates are going to be very quickly killed by our advancing wall of armor, and Nariko isn't really close enough to help out with that, so we'll just snipe some more enemies down. The enemy's dropping pretty fast as well because our skirmishers are very good at this point. We have a lot of master samurai skirmishers who are very accurate, similar to Nariko, who will be able to do some sniping as well. So we quickly got into the next courtyard, and once again our momentum seemed to be unchecked by the enemy. We just continued right on, going to head to the final bastion of the castle, and still plenty of defenders to snipe at. I wanted to pick between these two guys on the right here. One of them got hit by someone else. The other guy was kind of shuffling around, so I didn't want to waste a shot on him. I fired at this extremely difficult to hit guy in the far background. I managed to get that hit somehow, but unfortunately didn't actually kill them, probably firing at too long range in this case. So we continued on up to that final gatehouse. It went down very quickly. We snipe another enemy and find that there are no defenders on the inside waiting to stop us, so we can just storm the interior of the castle finally. So really, this has been a very smooth siege assault. The enemy didn't really put much effort into stopping us actually getting through the castle. That's not to say they won't have done damage to us, because they were firing at us the whole time we were running up and waiting to get those gates open as well, so they will have had plenty of chances to kill our troops. So you can see on the losses chart here, we took quite a number of casualties, and we actually lost 17 men killed in the end, which is a relatively high number considering Nariko's usual performance in battles, but that's what you get with siege assaults. A couple of allies killed as well from the other forces I drew into the battle. The enemy force was completely annihilated in the fight, of course, and more importantly, we will now have taken the castle from them. We captured one of the defending lords inside the castle, Lord Rikaku. I'm going to let him go in order to continue building my relations with the samurai on the opposite sides to me, to make it nice and easy for me to either get defections later on or to just persuade the enemy factions to go to peace with me. Now I headed south and found a small battle between Lord Matsunaga and an Asakura Lord, Lord Shima. Shima had basically no troops though, so I just took the cavalry forward to go and destroy the enemy before Matsunaga was any more damaged by this fight. This guy unfortunately blocking my lance attack will just leave him for my cavalry to deal with, and Nariko charges forwards into the loosely spaced and poorly equipped ranks of what must be the survivors of Shima's army. And there goes our cavalry just swamping the rest of them, missing a few easy targets there. Nariko's swooping in to finish them off. So with that done, we're going to head back north, and I actually discovered the Asakura main force is hanging around right in the center of our territory. Lord Azai and Great Lord Asakura seem to be working together here, and together they have over 300 troops, with Great Lord Asakura having most of them. I wanted to try and engage Lord Azai in a way that wouldn't bring Lord Asakura into the fight, and we managed to kind of get this here. I thought I'd get it here, but not quite here. Asakura still is in range, so I just sort of introduce myself and then awkwardly walk away without saying why I came up to him. And then as he continues to try and distance himself from Nariko, Nariko quickly catches up because her army moves much faster thanks to Mari. In fact, her pathfinding skills allow us to take superior routes. So we chase after Azai quickly and catch up, and manage to force a battle where we have almost double the enemy's numbers. The battle was a river fight where the enemy had to advance towards us under heavy skirmishing fire, and as they came out of the river and into our front lines, I did a massive cavalry charge from the flank that basically wiped out all of the troops who made it through that skirmishing fire. So there'll still be a few stragglers surviving around the place, and we can see some enemies running away in the background there, but they will not last long now. We surge forwards back into the river, and there'll be no chance for the enemy to escape thanks to us having all these cavalry. So we wipe out Lord Azai's army, and then I wanted to go after Asakura, not to fight him because that would be a difficult fight with heavy losses, but to simply ask him for peace. I have to do it personally with him to have any chance, but he makes extortionate, unheard of demands, so it's not happening.
This is just stupid. We beat his men into the ground. I mean, doesn't he care about what's actually happening?
Apparently not. He was very firm in his stance against the new imperial household. And yeah, I reminded him how he pledged to support me a few months ago. He insisted that knocking me out of the war was his way of helping me.
Opportunism, surely. We rather kindly crippled their enemy, the Oda, so suddenly they had all these forces to spare.
He just needed an excuse to invade another neighbour, and the imperial drama suited that need well. But how do we explain Lord Date's behaviour? We might manage to piece something together to make sense of Oda and Asakura, but we must now surely admit that something more subtle is at play.
What do you mean?
String pulling is what he means. And I suppose he only brings it up because he knows the culprit? If I knew the culprit, they would be dead. For I am actually not one to bask in smugness. But even you'll admit that something is wrong. I'll admit it, but that's not going to do us any good. Perhaps someone is turning the lords against us. Perhaps they just got bored of being our friends and wanted to do more conquering. Both are plausible. Surely you will also admit? Real samurai are a little less stupid than you think. They know the price of war. There's always something more potent than boredom at play.
Kojiro is right. These lords were willing to recognize my ascension and let imperial fiefs exist in peace. That goodwill is being eaten away, despite our gestures and despite our successes. Probably because of our successes. Samurai get jealous easy, you know?
Oh, but Lady Mary, we just heard that samurai need a high and mighty reason for war, didn't we?
If they think someone's a waste of space, they kill them. Works for me. I see your point, Mary. We may not agree on what's happening, but let's at least agree to monitor the situation with utmost care. I don't really know all that much about samurai diplomacy, so I really need you to work together and find an answer.
You can rely on us, Your Majesty. We were only joking, of course.
Really? I wasn't. Would be a pity to die for a joke. No killing, children. Now let's pack up and move out before Asakura cuts our throats in the night.
With some of the Asakura force now damaged and the knowledge that Great Lord Asakura is taking a lot of their troops to Obama Castle, I've got a little bit of time to come and check on Nagashima, and we arrive to find it's actually under attack from the Oda right now. They're raiding the villages and we see forces scattering all over the place as we approach, not wishing to engage with Nariko. There are also some Tokugawa forces nearby who are handily helping out with this fight, although not for us of course, they seek to come and conquer the area themselves. So I quickly caught up here with Great Lord Oda before he snuck back into his defences to ask him once again if he would consider peace, but no, an outrageous offer, actually even more outrageous than the previous time I asked him, so it seems we're getting further and further away from a peace deal despite constantly defeating their forces. So we're going to have to just keep going. We can attack their forces now while they're still weak before they build right back up, and that will buy us a little bit more time, hopefully, to perhaps progress against the Asakura. It's not clear, we'll have to do something though. So in this battle we have triple the enemy's numbers. Not going to be a problem. We sit on this hillside and engage the enemy at range, and they're going to lose most of their troops to either being killed or routing as they come close. They do have some cavalry who bravely charge our lines, but no point. Nariko sniping an officer off his horse there. No problem at all to finish that army off without losses. Now moving back towards Nagashima, more Oda forces to take out, also some allied forces starting to operate in the area, so we should be able to secure it a little bit more if we can just reduce the enemy's strength. We meet here Lord Araki, who seems pretty annoyed about the fact we let him go the last time we beat him. He felt humiliated that we didn't do him the honour of taking him prisoner. Perhaps he thought that we thought he was too low to even bother taking prisoner. But anyway, he is generally quite hostile towards us. We'll have to fight him. He actually has a few troops. We only have double their numbers in this fight, whereas usually we'd like to have a little bit more just to guarantee there'll be no casualties. Their cavalry charge into our ranks, doing a bit of damage there, but they won't last long of course once they're in, and Lord Araki himself is going to very quickly be surrounded and cut down in this engagement. So that's not going to bode well for the troops following in disarray behind him, although we're also in disarray, need to form up ready to receive those troops, although perhaps we don't really, because as you can see a lot of those troops are actually running away right now. They saw what happened and they're not going to take part in this fight, which is probably the right choice. A few come up on their own, curiously, to try and attack our lines, so perhaps they had some ideas of honour that needed to be fulfilled, but it didn't do them any good, as Kojiro might note. So now all we need to do is push forwards and push this wavering army into a total rout and get it off the field. A few troops in the back there still trying to fight against us, but they're not going to have any hope as we swarm forward and take the field. We lost one troop in the engagement in the end, the enemy losing 75, a superb ratio, and this time we will capture Lord Araki since he seemed so annoyed about letting him go last time, so perhaps he'll feel a little bit more special since we're going to drag him around with us. And that's pretty useful because it actually takes him out of the campaign fight. He won't be mustering troops against us anymore. Now, right after that fight, the Satake clan suddenly declared war on us out of absolutely nowhere. They're a clan up in the east with the Date clan, so it seems they've been colluding to, for some reason, oppose the Imperial household, even though really we have no contact with them whatsoever. I think this is going to be a war of principle, and we'll have to see if they actually send forces against us. We took out about 20 or so troops from Lord Akechi with no problem whatsoever, and now facing another Oda army is Niwa this time, so loads of Oda armies all over the place, but they're all quite small, so we'll just run them through. And we've got Lord Hitano on our side as well now, so this time we have something like 5 times the enemy's troops on our side. So what I thought I'd do is take Nariko out with the cavalry to lead this attack personally, because behind the cavalry she's pretty safe, and of course the enemy force can be dispatched very quickly by just making a cavalry attack. So when we have a giant advantage like this, we can just save ourselves a little bit of time by running them off the field with a full frontal charge, the strategy that the AI loves so much but only really works in certain circumstances. So after that I started heading back west into our core territories, and it seems I can't go back quickly enough because we learn that our westernmost village is actually being attacked by the Asakura, so they've really penetrated into our core territories here. As I arrive here at Kamioka, I actually don't see anything, so it seems he stopped raiding it almost as soon as word reached us that he was doing it. He's over there to the west. He was probably chasing after some villagers who were escaping from the village, or attacking a caravan like that one just there. So I move after him, and the Okita forces come in to join this fight with me. It seems the Okita are also at war with the Asakura, which is really good to know because that means they're less likely to declare war on me with any luck. Unfortunately, this Lord Rakaku was not willing to betray Lord Asakura, which would have been very useful for me, so we'll have to take him down with almost 10 times his troops. Not going to be a problem, and actually it was the Okita forces that did all the work because they just charged in on their own and stamped out the Asakura resistance, so no losses for us. And only 8 wounds among the Okita forces there, so we're going to not take Rakaku prisoner in the attempt to continue gaining relations with Asakura samurai, hoping this will someday pay off and allow us to convince the Asakura to stop the madness. Now I realise that basically we only really have one option in terms of military strategy. We need to gather our strength together into one big ball of troops and try and knock either the Asakura or the Oda out of the war, since neither will agree to go to peace with us, and the Oda will be the much easier target with their armies weakened and with only one settlement we'll have to take. So we'll start working towards that. Whether it's even possible, I don't know. By proving that she was able to lead entire armies just as easily as her legendary band of mercenaries, Nariko had hoped to gain legitimacy and earn respect from the ruling samurai lords. Instead, it seems to have had the opposite effect, with her victories making it easier and easier to point her out as a threat to the established warlords. The attempts to beat them at their own game were not appreciated, but Nariko was limited in her options, for there was no other game these powerful men were willing to play. Just like them, she was now in a situation where she would have to do anything it took to stay afloat, taking the people she had hoped to save from war into a conflict against not just the samurai, but the concept of the samurai. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Despite Nariko's best efforts, this war is going to escalate even further in the next episode of Nariko's Treasure.